Hi folks, and thanks for tuning in to this edition of Let's Grow Texas Ag. We're still down here in Wharton County. We're going to be visiting with Andy and Rhonda Anderson and their whole family. They're fourth generation farmers. Their history goes back to the late 1800s of moving in this part of the country. So they're big rice farmers. They're also in the cattle business. They got a heck of a breeding program for horses. They raise lots of good colts, and they also have a flying service. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back to get this show started.
Welcome to Let's Grow Texas Ag, showcasing unique farm and ranch stories of the South Texas coastal plains. First-hand knowledge with special guests presented by our very own and well-known host, Joe Adams. Pull up a chair and enjoy as we share some of the heritage and insightful stories that have made us proud Texans. Let's Grow Texas Ag, sponsored by Shop Us John Deere.
It is absolutely a privilege to be at the home of Andy and Rhonda Anderson, right outside of East Bernard. Fourth generation farmer. Andy, how in the world are you, man?
Thank you. Welcome to the farm.
Welcome to the farm. Well, I can tell you one thing. Out of all the places I've ever been, I don't think that I've ever seen anybody that's more diversified as what this farm is right here. What are you guys in?
Well, we do quite a few things. Of course, rice farming is number one. And I'm fortunate to have boys that have family that have come back to the farm, and that's what makes diversification possible, to have lots of hands on deck. And we own a flying service, we run a grain elevator, we run some cattle and breed some horses. But rice is in the family business for over 100 years, and that's still the main.
Y'all finished up harvesting rice this last week?
Last week. It was a small crop because of the lack of water from the LCRA, Lower Colorado River Authority. Did not have water because of the ongoing drought up above the dams.
That's kind of amazing that y'all get the bulk of y'all's water generally on a normal year comes from that far off.
Yep. It comes, those dams were originally set up in the 30s for flood control down here. The Wharton area, all along the Lower Colorado River Valley, and it's evolved into more recreation for the guys up north and around the lakes up there, and with the huge increase in population and the state of Texas in general, but Austin area also in particular, it's just the demands for water are just increasing every year. It's a continual problem. This is the second time we've been cut off.
But it didn't cut off recreation.
Didn't cut off the recreation.
And recreation is one thing, but water's kind of the lifeblood to the ricing operation, isn't it?
Well, in the county, there's so many businesses that are tied to it. The flying services, the chemical services, fertilizer, crop consultants, just so many people, grain dryer facilities. There's so much of the economy of these rural counties that's tied to agriculture. And when we don't have water down here, we don't have much agriculture. This is rice country, so it's sandy ground for the most part, and it's got a clay hard pan about 10 or 12 inches down, and that's what holds the water. So we can flood it, and we'll flood the crop and leave a constant flood on it until we drain it about 10 days before we harvest it.
So rice, you keep that thing just pretty much covered with water the whole time?
Yep. We harvested it about 10 days ago. So that's rough rice. It's still in the hull. We don't take the hull off. We dry it down to about 12%. But when the next person who buys it to process it, they'll mill it, they'll run it through a mill, and they'll knock the bran off the outside of it, and that's white rice. So what we eat, or have historically eaten, is parboiled rice. Uncle Ben's rice, you ever heard of that? That's parboiled. And what they do is they take this kernel, and before they take the husk off of it, they inject water back into it, and then they heat it up, and they mix some of the bran into the kernel. They kind of turn it into a liquid form, basically, again. And some of that bran gets in the kernel, and then they take the husk off, and then they mill it again. They'll mill it as well after they parboil it, but it just has a little of that bran, and it gives it a little different taste and texture. But the combine takes that head in, separates the kernels from the straw, chaff, and then that's what we take that's what we haul out. We haul just the grains out of here to the dryer.
And it'll go in at what % moisture?
It just depends. Ideally, we would probably like to harvest it at like 17-18%, but sometimes we get behind and it gets lower than that. If you cut it too much drier than that, you'll do more damage to the grain. Kind of like these, I had trouble kind of separating out because they're just real dry out here because they've been here, just sitting out here. If you cut it too green, it's just more money. It costs more to dry it, and more passes through the dryer, and more labor. And you can hear some of the fans running around here now. So that's the rice is you use heat to dry it, so it's blowing. It's pretty hot outside, but it's kind of just blowing it, kind of cooling it down. And as the days get cooler and we get cooler nights, we'll run these fans and try to bring the temperature down, more of it. But this is what comes out of the field. Combine brings this. That's called rough rice. Here's your pit, and we'll have an incline auger comes and it feeds this, and then these cups run it. It's about 110 feet up there to hit, and there's multiple holes, 5, 4, 2, and 1, to which way you're going with it. And it's all, electronic up there to turn it to where it'll go through the right spout up there.
So when they come in here and dump, brings it up there, and then they
lifts it up,
just shovels it up there.
It goes up to the top, and when it goes over the top, it unloads it, and then it funnels it into the right bin. This is the drying unit. It actually dries there, and then these big fans. You gotta look through there. You can see how big the fan is that blows air.
Pretty good sized fan.
You want to buy that thing, it'll suck you up in there almost.
Oh, yeah,
it'll pull you. It's got a screen on it, but you can hold about 100 semi-loads in here. 52,000 hundredweight.
How many acres would that relate to on a good year?
Oh, we'll put about 10,000 on a first crop. We'll do about 100 hundredweights, maybe 80 to 100 on the first crop. So what is that? 500 acres, 550, something like that. It kind of hold.
A lot of rice. You boys got job security, man. Yeah. Let's go in there and meet your crew. We'll be back with more Let's Grow Texas Ag right after these messages. All right, hi folks, and welcome back. We're going to take a little bit of time to go one-on-one with some of the players that are involved in this Anderson family enterprise. Will, Alan, and Luke. Will and Alan, you guys involved in the farm and involved in the the crop dusting and all that kind of stuff. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
So it differs day to day and depending on the time of the year, but in the springtime we're planting, and that's also whenever we're busy at the flying service early in the mornings putting pre-emerge herbicides on there so that the farmers can kill the grass. And then on the farming side we run in a planter we decide what variety we want to plant in the fall of the year before. So then once we get to planting season, we work the fields, get that planter going, get it in the ground, and that's about it.
What's your role, Mr. Allen?
Like what Will said, it switches, it seems like just about every day. But we've kind of make it work by using our technology to our advantage. So everything we do is on a computer or on a phone, to where we're sending either the jobs for the day for the flying service, or we're able to look on our John Deere Operations Center, whatever technology we're using, to kind of see where the equipment's at and either how good the rice is or how far the disc has gotten when we're plowing a field. So day to day it changes. But try to make the most out of each day and try to get a little bit of both in every day.
The technology that's involved in farming now is it's unbelievable. Kind of amazing stuff. Luke, what role do you play in this deal?
My job really varies, kind of wherever I need it at. So most times I tend to be at the cattle, horses kind of side of the operations, but early mornings at the flying service, like they said, mixing chemicals, getting it ready for the day. If there's a tractor needs to be ran, I can hop on the tractor and run it. But just wherever they need help at, just
that's pretty cool. Where do y'all see farming going from here? Where's
it
going to be when Luke comes back?
I would have to imagine it's already getting to the point, whether it's on combines or tractors, we already have cameras on our systems, and John Deere already has it, and it's at the very beginning, but there'll be a time in our lives where we probably, like what Luke said, he'll jump on a tractor. I don't think that's maybe going to be the case down the line, and especially in our life. I don't know how early it'll be, but there'll be a time where equipment is all ran by computer systems, which I think will happen in our lifetime, where we're really not driving equipment anymore.
And there's, to a certain degree, there's a lot of that going on now, isn't it?
There's a lot of that. You see it in the car industry. I think tractors are within the next few years, where if you have it, you're going to have self-driving tractors and combines.
I think it's going to be a case of farming less acres and making more of a yield. All the land is getting taken up by cities and solar panels, and so you're losing a lot of farmland, and with that, there's still more people every day that have to get fed.
Thank you, guys. Going to take a little bit more time to introduce some of the key folks in here. Ben, how are you, man?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely wonderful, Miss Ashley. Good to see you again. Ben and Ashley play a very intricate role, very important roles out here. Ben takes care of all the cattle. Miss Ashley takes care of all the books. So pretty important deal. Ben, talk to us a little bit about your cattle operation.
Right, so starting about 8 years ago, that's kind of whenever we started going with our registered set. Before that, we were running a bunch of crossbred cows and selling them just out to the ring. Where we started, we brought in limousine blood from up the country, and we've slowly kind of made it work to where they're more of our type cattle down here, a little slicker, a little more ear to them, and they've done really well. We've had a great success, selling bulls year to year, and they're really coming along very well.
That's pretty interesting. I was riding around with your dad earlier, and he's showing, what do y'all call them?
Limb flex.
Limb flex.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that's what it was, but I wanted to be sure exactly what it was. But it's actually the first time that I'd ever seen any of them. And of course, I come from a Brahmin history.
Yes, sir.
And I've very much got Brahmin in my blood. But I was sitting there looking at those cattle today, and those cattle got I can see a great fit for those limb flex cattle on Brahmin crossbreed cattle anywhere along the Gulf Coast.
They do great. There's a lot of places from Weimar kind of on down. We've got them on the other side of Houston. And I've actually got some around, kind of around Louisiana. Like I sold a guy some this year, and they're doing great.
Yeah,
they hold up and good cattle.
Yeah, they look good.
Thank you.
And they're plenty thick.
They got plenty of grass this year.
Yeah, they're plenty thick. Yeah, you can't middle of August and it's looking like this.
It's hard to beat it.
It's sure making a fella look smart, ain't it?
Yep.
Something's got to.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Miss Ashley?
Yes, sir.
And you do the books.
Yes, correct.
Probably when it gets right down to it, there's a lot of sweat that's put into the day-to-day operations.
Yes.
But if the books ain't straight,
got a lot of problems.
You got a lot of problems.
Got a lot of problems.
So you enjoy that?
Yes, I do enjoy it.
Well diversified. I love it.
Yep.
Being good seeing you.
Good talking.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Ashley.
Good talking to you too. Thank you.
We'll be back just a second. Let's grow Texas Ag.
Did you know agriculture is a major component of Wharton County's economy? The county leads the state of Texas in acreage used for rice production.
We bought it was A&F, America Needs Farmers, and we still keep that. But we kind of use the A&F also as aviation, and in aviation-in-farming kind of staying with the A&F.
How long have y'all been in this business?
This is our third year.
I guarantee you, everybody sees them going up and down the road. Everybody likes to watch a crop duster.
Yeah, the guys that fly these things have a very unique skill set.
Yes, they do.
It is a difficult job. I mean, they're flying sometimes under power lines, going up to power lines and going over them. It's a lot of horsepower sitting right there, that kind of that black to the motor, that's where the motor sits, and then that kind of brownish is the tank, and it'll hold about 800 gallons. This plane, it's a air tractor 802s, and they're technically classified as tankers. That's how fertilizer comes to us. So they'll bring it out in trucks, and that auger in the back will put it in like our loader truck there, and our loader truck will drive up to the plane. He'll flop the door open and he'll drive up to it and put the fertilizer in there. They're set up for fertilizer now. That silver thing on the bottom is a fertilizer spreader, and then they can be switched over. They can do dry. The fertilizer we put out to dry, it's a little pellet, kind of a little BB size, and take us about 20 minutes. We can swap that plane over and go to liquid, and we can put spray out with it. So usually we'll put out spray in the mornings, and then when we get done with spray, we'll switch over to dry fertilizer and start putting that out. But
how many pounds of fertilizer? You said they're set up for fertilizer right now. How many pounds were they?
So it depends on the fertilizer, but 4,500 to 5,000 pounds is kind of what they'll put out. And typically we'll put out anywhere from 100 to 200 pounds to the acre is kind of usually what rate we're doing. This plane's a new plane, and Alan knows more about this business than I do, but some of the new technology here, this one has an adjustable gate tied into the speed, so when you're going into the wind, the plane goes about 150 miles an hour. When it's going into the wind, if it's going into a 20-mile-an-hour wind, it's going to be going about 130 miles an hour. Turn around and come back with a tailwind, it might be doing 165 or 70 miles per hour. So that gate will open and close as it needs to keep you at your 200-pound rate or your 100-pound rate.
More of that modern stuff.
Technology, a better application.
Yeah, 200 pounds per acre. There's a lot of fertilizer going out on the right. You can really see it right before in harvest, or even like on our own fields, we can see on our combine, we can look at our yield and see kind of where the airplane, if it's got a good job or bad job, or a little bit more here, a little more there, and kind of figure out what happened or what's good with fertilizer. I would think on a big day with these two airplanes, we could do 300,000 pounds of fertilizer in a day between both of the planes, and spray we can do several thousand acres of spray in a day, which we have to kind of change out a few things.
That plane will come in here, and if we're doing spray, we'll load him with one of these. It's kind of like NASCAR. You got a guy there on the pumps, and he's going to pump the chemical in there, and then he'll change a couple of valves, and he'll pump the fresh water into it to whatever size load we have. We got fuel right there, and we'll run a fuel line out there to it. Somebody will jump up on the wing, and they'll clean his windshield from getting bugs and stuff on there. And I don't know, how long you think he's here before he's gone again? 5 minutes?
Probably.
And then he's gone again,
And not very long.
Yeah, and then, these planes burn about 85 gallons of jet fuel an hour. So they'll go through it, they'll hold. So and then, we'll run both planes. Yeah, so it's something, when it's going hard, there's a lot going on here, and we appreciate you guys coming out and helping us tell our story.
Andy, we appreciate your time
Good to meet
today.
you,
You've
Joe.
been very good.
Good.
Ronda, thank you very much. You've always been very hospitable, and your meal at lunch today was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more Let's Grow Texas Ag right after these messages.
Maybe you know someone that should be highlighted on our program. Let us know. Submit your story ideas to crossroadstoday.com/ag.
Hi, folks. Welcome back And you know, you can sit here and you can talk about all the farming and all the ranching and all the cattle and all the horses. You can do all that you want to do, and it takes a tremendous effort by a lot of folks. It can be well attested by all the interviewing out here this morning. It takes a lot of people pulling on the same rope to make this deal work, but I can tell you this, I bet you, I put my money on the kitchen. It all starts in the kitchen, doesn't it, Miss Rhonda?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you one thing, is Miss Rhonda has put a spread together for us up here today in just a blink of an eye, a beautiful spread of just all kinds of stuff, hamburgers and the whole 9 yards. Miss Rhonda, I bet you've had a lot of practice feeding lots of hungry folks.
I have. I enjoy being in the kitchen. It's my favorite place, so it's a joy to feed them all. Yeah.
Well, you know, you can tell that by your smile. You can tell. You can tell. I was watching you a while ago, and y'all were just drifting around in here, putting everything together. So it's. I imagine during harvest time, you probably get a chance to get out there yourself, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I like to ride with them.
Like to
See, it always amazes me to see all the crops come in and just the amount of rice that is produced every year.
Yeah, and it's kind of nature at its finest.
It is very much so.
It's
Yeah.
nature at its finest, and everybody working together and doing all that. But I can tell you one thing. You all have been very hospitable. You've let us come in your house. You've got a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And I tell you what, I've enjoyed meeting everybody. But is there anything that you would like to say?
It's just been a joy to have all these children and to be able to live this type of lifestyle that my husband's provided, and I just feel blessed.
And you're not very proud at all, are you?
No, not at all.
Hardly at all. Well, I can tell you one thing, folks. This is the kind of stuff you're not going to find this on a well-rounded highway. You got to get off the beaten path to find a spread like this. Y'all have done absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
In came the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Bless us, O Lord, and be is my gift to bow to your feet. For my bounty, through Christ our Lord, amen. God is great, God is good, and we thank Him for whom, amen, you may eat.
Good job. Ah, very good job.
And we're not Catholic either.
You've been watching Let's Grow Texas Ag. Special stories focused on the farmers, ranchers, and those who work in our agricultural industries in South Texas. Sponsored by Shop Us John Deere. Visit our website for more information and program schedules. You can stream Let's Grow Texas Ag on Crossroads Today Plus, Zeme, or YouTube.
I do understand that we have a young man here who's got a birthday today. Justin, today's your birthday? How old are you? Hold up your fingers. Look at it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Justin. Happy birthday to you, and many more. Hey, because you guys are the 5th generation.
Yeah, but I'm 5 now.
See what the numbers are together. 5, and you guys are going to be the 6. Yeah, 6. Yeah, that's right.
I was 4 before I was 4.
I got 2 years of junior college. I don't think we covered that. I believe you're right, though. That's right. Y'all are going to be the 6th generation.
You're a pretty good singing voice.
Yeah, you do. You carried all of us.
Yeah.